Hello, everybody. It's Senleon again with Story Time with Senleon. This time, we're going to read a story by the screen name SnowRunner, and the story is called Downing the Dark Lady. It was one of those days as I awoke in that morning. A young but aspiring druid, such as myself, had little to do about nothing on days like today. I had everything I could want or need, a backpack full of supplies, food and the such should I need to go on one of my adventures. A trusty feline mount. No, I never thought of screwing my pet. Come on. I know there are some that think just because I shift to a cat as a druid, I get horny and use my pet for something more than swift transportation. Those were the sort of things that made me want to have my Death Knight best friends use them for a bitch. I swear by a loop. However, the wayward thoughts of the young druid really should learn to fixate upon one thing at a time, other than the paltry annoyances. On this day, it seemed like it was going to be slow, so as I went about gathering information about some ongoing events around Dalaran, I listened in to some of the more boisterous males standing around the fountain as they started preaching. They wanted to decimate the leaders of the Horde. Normally, I was wary of such events, as they often led to the need for lots of bandages, a body cast or two, and someone's going home in a body bag. This morning, however, was a different story. I felt the roar in my blood as just that morning I'd gotten a bit of mail. My sister had died a few days ago, having been raped by a Tauren and troll, both just outside of Ratchet. Now, I wasn't bloodthirsty, but this action has sent an emotion, a wanting for vengeance. The lull of bloodlust and need for battle was tugging on my male pride that my sister had died, trying to do what these men were talking about. For the Alliance! Oh yes, what I wanted to do now was for the good of the Alliance. I wanted to feel the surge of adrenaline as I charged into battle, to slash my claws across the face of Thrall and show him who was boss. I longed to put Bloodhoof on his knees and cry for mercy for what his foul underling had done to my sister, Amatra. My thoughts were rather angry this morning, which was a bad thing. The Archdruid warned about letting the not letting fury cloud the mind. But hell, I'm a healthy young male druid. I should be able to do this just this once. Raising my hand, I called across the crowded square. Yo! I'll join up on this raid. I want to show those Horde a thing or two. Naturally, the leader looked me over and smirked faintly. Dremorion, since when do you want to make a run on killing anyone? So, of course, it had to go to Banter. That's my name, by the way. My name is Dremorion. I'm a night elf that grew up in the Oracle Glade. Dirty Horde killed my sister. That was reason enough, and I knew it. The man's face lightened up immediately. Yay! Let's kill the Horde for the Alliance! That was it. Slowly, the group started forming. Orders given, positions organized. Where was I? I was, well, what I was normally doing, tending the sick. I'm a healer normally, although this morning I had a wanting to use those defensive spells for something more than pretty fireworks. First stop was one that changed my life indefinitely. We were going to the fallen prince's home city, the ruins of Lordaeron, where the once powerful Menethil family ruled. Now a new ruler held it within their grasp. Undercity, the home of the once beautiful general of the Blood Devils, was now the home of the Banshee Queen Sylvanas Windrunner. She was a beautiful woman in her prime, until that same fallen prince made her his bitch and used her to nearly destroy the Blood Elves she was once a part of. Undead Blood Elves were, well, odd to say the least, especially her. All right. You'd think I had a bit of an obsession with her. What can I say? I researched my adversaries, so as to ensure when I went into battle, I know what I was going up against. Today, my day would start out with seeing a bitch fall to the floor, weaving our way through the sewers, and let me assure you, they were putrid. We made our way finally past the Royal Apothecary, the area where their plague was being created that was killing our people left and right, and enter the throne room of Undercity. Before us, along with the rest of the denizens, stood the powerful Banshee Queen, A surge of remorse went through me as battle started to rage around me. My body transformed into that of a tree, hands raised, casting a spell to keep my rather boisterous, loudmouth leader from falling to the queen's most powerful spells. Let's face it, the fallen general of the Blood Elves was screwed, outnumbered, and vastly caught unawares. One by one, our compatriots fell to the might of our swords, bow, and magical spells that rendered it soon one on, well, many. Rape would be a good term for this. She was vastly screwed. There was not a damn thing she could do. She spell cast time again. A few men and women fell beside me. Naturally, this woman was a bitch and tricky. That's when the idea hit me. Perhaps it was time the bitch learned what it was like to be a bitch. For the Alliance. Again, the bloodlust hit me as I watched her battered form take hit after hit, despite what she did. I don't know what made me do what I did next, but something got a hold of me, and that was it. I was a prisoner to my own darkest, basest thoughts. A smile etched upon my lips as the woman fell to her knees. It was a beautiful position, as out of nowhere I started doing this fast as no one could see. The cheer went up that she was going down. The dark lady of the horde was going down, and if I had my way, more ways than one. Swiftly, I shifted from healing to something worse. My large body shifted to that of a boomkin. It was against my nature to do this, but today, well, that's another story all in itself. As I cast a spell that tangled thick, full binds about her body, sort of like a demon's tentacles. A look on her face as she was unable to run away was amusing. Just brought a stirring thought. A stirring throughout my entire body. This bitch was gonna learn the meaning of being raped, and she'd learn on her own purloined throne. A killing blow was coming for her head, which was when I acted. Fast in a sword stroke, I cast a spell that will temporarily render her unconscious, with not enough life in her to fight. The cheer went up. The others thought she was dead. Good. This was my time, and my turn. Quickly, a beautiful mage that I watched a few times created a portal that would open to Ratchet. That wasn't somewhere I wanted to go right now. So I sort of hid behind a stone pillar as the rest of the ravaging and pillaging friends disappeared from sight. Sylvanas was in my sights as she started to stir, the vines entangling her body. As I leaned down and picked up her dagger and put it to her throat, her eyes wide. Why am I not dead? Her wail resonated through her chamber, despite its weakness. It didn't surprise me at all that that would be the first thing out of the bitch's mouth. Simple. I felt you needed a lesson. You and your damn horde all need a lesson, and I'm going to teach it to you. You just got raped by a raiding party, and you're about to learn the true meaning of rape. Fucking bite me, cunt. I'll make sure you'll fish for the Lich King's tender mercies. If a woman could blanch, she was definitely doing it. She fought for bonds which only tightened around her more. A lascivious smile etched its way upon my lips as though the same vines tore away the banshee's clothing, barring her blood elf-like undead form. I'd always been repulsed by necrophilia, and yet here I was. My body was hard. My cock, well, let's just say I wasn't the biggest thing, but I wasn't the smallest rooster in the henhouse. The throbbing vein shaft came into view and slapped her across the face. All 8 inches of it, slapping a pasty white imprint on her face. The 2 inches of thickness made sure she kept the dumbstruck look on her face. Open your mouth, slut, I ordered as the vines around her neck squeezed to make her gasp out in outrage. Naturally, most men would come and say something cliche like, "For the Alliance!" But hell, that wasn't me, as I felt her pastry cold lips around the head of my cock. It was like masturbating, just the right amount of pressure, suckling, and a little cold, but I didn't mind. Oh no, a surge of carnal wanton pleasure burst through me as I kept the dagger of hers against her. My other hand gripped the bitch's hair as I thrust and thrust. I forcefully sank my swollen cock into her mouth and down her throat. "Swallow!" I ordered as I rammed it further and further until I felt her lips touching the base of my shaft. Necrophilia, rape deemed the woman knew how to use her mouth as she fought her bonds. Her teeth raked my cock, fistfuls of ghostly undead tresses, and the bitch was salivating all over my arousal. Dribbling on the floor, perhaps she liked being forced. The thought brought another urge. Surprisingly, my cock grew another inch, both around and in length. Her cry made me grin as another rancid idea permeated through my brain. Oh yes, it was time to teach the horrid bitch who was boss. Gripping her hair, I felt the surge of pre-cum start ebbing through the head of my dark purple cock in her greased mouth. Get used to the taste. It's going to come back to you short. I vowed as with a jerk the vine shifted, moved her as such, extracted my cock from her mouth. Bent over like an animal, I, without preamble, shoved my cock into her cup, forcefully spreading those pussy lips to swallow my dick just like her mouth had, thrusting deep within her greedy. Within her greedy, it felt awfully wet. To think she probably liked it. Who knew? Obviously, the author didn't, because she can't words. It was about then, the contracting way she fought her bounds, fought in a rage to stop this putrid male, yes, that's me, off her, out of her. It just caused a surge to me as my hands lifted and I slapped her ass hard, thrust after thrust. It was all about self-gratification. Her ass went whiter from then on with each slap I made, fluids trickling down my cock, my thighs. For all her fight, she was wet. She sure was wet. And it almost made me feel bad as the first tingling sensations resonated throughout my body. A burst of cum shot deep within her heated depths, and she screamed again. Don't fucking come in me, you alliance bastard! Another slap, and this time it was accompanied by a laugh. Shut it, slut. You're an alliance whore. Perhaps I'd gotten a bit out of hand there. Who knows? The surge in lust had a grip on my mind. The torrent of word and cruel actions had a grip on my mind as well. Base, perhaps crude, even I felt her body thrusting back as if she wanted to come. My cock pulled from her sweltering, salivating depths and slapped her ass, spewing a few more shots of my spunk along the translucent flesh. My hand reached down and started slapping her pussy. Strike after strike, the wet sounds resonated throughout the Undercity throne room. My cock saturated and hot, still hard, thrust deep in the bowels of her ass. The puckered little star spread wide. So much for foreplay, yes, I knew. It was about vengeance. As thrust after thrust, I felt her rectum open, tear to take that thick, vein cock. Despite my actions, the bitch's pussy seemed to convulse, so I started slapping it some more, along with my hard, full balls slapping it. Her groans and moans, the unholy howls of pain or pleasure, who knew, as this female was nothing more than a vessel for my lust, resonated all the more until a surge of cool fluids gushed, squirted from her foul cunt onto the floor along with some of my own spunk. I growled in frustration. I just filled that, and here the slut was spitting it out as she came. Well, that wasn't going to go unnoticed, nor unpunished. Surging harder, faster into her ass, I pounded her time and time again, hearing the slap of flesh on undead flesh. Her hair was gripped and neck jerked to an unnatural angle as I watched the ashamed, angry, and lustful rage run through her. She wasn't fighting her binds now like an animal in heat. She was fucking me back. Well, for now it was permitted, as I used her ass as my personal fuckhole. My cock tingled and her body strained more. The vibrations made her clench around my cock more. No, I roared as I slapped her ass rather cruelly, denying her getting to come again, or as my cock surged and I erupted my thick cum into her ass. Vibrations shudder ran down my body and spine as the bitch screamed again as she felt her ass blown out, cum gushing out of her puckered ass and her undead eyes went wide. Pulling my cock from her, I surveyed the scene with a sick bit of pleasure. Her ass was widespread. Cum dripped from it as I rammed back into her cunt and pounded with several thick, hard thrusts. Come, slut! I again roared. This time I slapped her breast and jerked her nipples, gripping them with unnatural might as I used them to pull her hard onto my cock. Her surge of cum and orgasms hit me in waves. That cunt of hers was all trying to eat my cock, milk it, and squeeze it right fuck off. Those gripping, contracting cunt muscles of hers caused my lust-crazed mind to again frenzy my want to come. Shot after shot as my balls contracted and cum shot within her pussy again. Her cries and grunting tones filled the throne room as her body went limp. My own was losing its lust. Well, almost. Pulling from her, I walked around her root-entangled form, shooting shot after shot at my cum as I jerked my hand down my dark vein-saturated length. Her ass, her thighs, her stomach and breasts all dripped my cum as I moved up her body. Shot after shot at my cum, it was almost becoming unnatural in how much my body had to give. Perhaps it was just the forbidden lull that brought out all that cum from me, but her back was splatter-hearted, her hair gripping those tresses. I smiled as I shot a load after thick load into her face, watching her rage, her weakness as she couldn't fight back. Like a slut, she was dripping cum as I slapped that ass and pussy-scented cock against her cheek, her mouth. For the Alliance, I mocked her as I rammed my still hard cock into her mouth and shot that last load down her throat, making her taste herself, my cum, my ass. Her ass, for the final insult, raping her throat. Those final thrusts before I pulled away, leaving her a puddle as the roots tightened around her, burying her within the thick vines. The sound of crunching, cracking filled the room as I walked away. I'm guessing crunching was crunching. My body rather pleased with itself. For the Alliance indeed. The Dark Lady was down, and God, I hated to admit it, but she was hot as fuck. A pity she had to go down as she did. A wave over my shoulder to the deceased mistress of the Forsaken. One by one the horde would feel my wrath. She was the first. It made me grin, as perhaps the experience made me depraved. I couldn't wait till tomorrow to see who would be next. Men, women, it didn't matter. All that mattered was showing the horde who was the boss. Me, the little night elf druid from the Oracle Glade, for the Alliance. And that, kids, is another story from Senleon. Thank you, and good night.